If you think you can balance a car on your head that is heavier than 352 pounds, then you have a good chance of beating the current Guinness World Record. John Evans from England, who holds it, found he had a superpower while he was working as a bricklayer. At 17, he could hold 24 bricks on his head. Years later, he started balancing fridges, cement mixers, kegs, and other objects on his dome to raise money for charity. He managed to hold a mini car on his head for 33 seconds in 1999. If anything had gone wrong, it would have cost him his life. It took another dangerous record breaker, Michel Lotito, 2 years to eat an airplane. He cut it up with an electric power saw to create bite-sized chunks. Then, he swallowed it piece by piece and washed it down with mineral oil and tons of water. Before you try to beat his record, you must know he had a special condition that made him crave and eat things that aren't food. He consumed over 9 tons of metal during his lifetime, including 18 bicycles, 15 supermarket trolleys, 6 chandeliers, 2 beds, a pair of skis, a computer, a coffin, and the commemorative Guinness World Records brass plaque. Mick Meaney from Ireland decided that he could break the world record for the most number of days buried underground and become famous. He spent 61 days in a coffin, 7 feet under the ground in 1968. Mick woke up at 7 in the morning every day, did a workout with partial press-ups, then had breakfast and read a newspaper. There were 2 pipes sticking out of his temporary home, one for food and one for ventilation, and keeping in touch with people above the ground. The TV worldwide, radio, and newspapers covered his adventure, but no one from the Guinness Book of Records was there when he resurfaced. Perhaps they found it too dangerous, so he never ended up in the book. The longest kiss ever recorded lasted 58 hours and 35 minutes. 9 couples entered the annual competition in Thailand, and one of them set this record on Valentine's Day in 2013. Guinness discounted this category because the rules of such competitions were too strict. The people had to keep their lips touching the entire time, no breaks at all. They could drink liquids using a straw, but they couldn't let their lips come apart, not even for a second. They had to stay awake and stand the whole time, and even if they needed to go to the bathroom, they had to keep kissing. To make things safer, they replaced the longest kiss with a new contest called the Longest Kissing Marathon, with short breaks to rest, eat, and even sleep. On October 14, 2012, 8 million people were watching Austrian skydiver Felix Baumgartner live as he beat 8 world records and the sound barrier. He lifted off from Roswell, New Mexico to the edge of space. He got there inside the largest balloon with a human on board, as tall as the Statue of Liberty when fully inflated. Several hours later, Felix was back as the first human to break the sound barrier in Freefall, completing the highest freefall parachute jump and achieving the fastest speed in freefall. Nick Wallenda holds 11 Guinness World Records. He's the first person who walked a tightrope over Niagara Falls. Nick comes from a famous circus dynasty, the Flying Wallendas. He first walked the tightrope when he was just 13. He walked across the Grand Canyon and the Orlando Eye. That observation wheel is higher than the Statue of Liberty. It was windy and wet, but he landed another record that will be really risky to beat. Jin Song Gao has spent many years training his body to handle the freezing cold. He can sit in a tub filled with ice cubes, not for a minute, but for hours. Jin became the champion when he stayed in the ice for 113 minutes and broke a world record. A couple years later, he managed to beat his own record by 2 minutes on a TV show. In the last 2 minutes, the audience cheered him on with music, which helped him push through. A fearless man from China covered his whole body in bees to create the so-called bee beard. This Italian tradition is from the 19th century. People place a queen bee on themselves to attract thousands of bees. The record breaker had to place not 1, but 60 queen bees on his body to attract 637,000 bees. He set the official record for the heaviest mantle of bees, The Guinness adjudicators were there but watched from a safe distance. The new champion explained that the secret there is to stay calm. Bees usually won't bite, as it would cost them their lives, so you must not annoy them. Guinness doesn't accept applications for the longest fasting because they don't encourage people to deprive themselves of food. The only exception was in 1971. Angus Barbieri survived without food for 382 days. He was 27 and weighed 465 pounds when he started what was supposed to be a short fasting program at the hospital. But Angus felt so good and was determined that he convinced the doctors to let him continue. He even stopped working at his father's fish and chips shop to avoid any temptation to eat. He survived on vitamins, tea, coffee, sparkling water, and a small amount of yeast to give him the nutrients he needed. Angus got regular checkups to make sure he was okay. By the end of the fast, his weight dropped to 180 pounds. He stayed healthy after his fast and maintained a stable weight for years. If you wanted to get in the book of records because your pet is a plus-sized beauty, sorry, but it won't happen either. The heaviest cat ever, Himi, was from Australia. It passed away at the age of 10 because of health issues and will forever be the record breaker in this category. Himi weighed over 46 pounds in its final days in 1986. It was so heavy that it had to move around in a wheelbarrow. Guinness World Records figured out that people could start overfeeding their pets by force just to make it into the book and closed the category 12 years later. Now, they monitor the weight and size of animals by breed, but not by individual animals. Driving around the world at top speed is definitely an adventure, but it won't get you on the record list anymore. Many people tried to do it, setting record after record, going faster and faster. But by 1996, the Guinness organization decided to stop accepting new claims. It's just too dangerous and against the law to ignore the speed limits set in different countries. By the way, the first successful attempt to circumnavigate by car took 2 years and 1 month. In 1927, a racing driver and a filmmaker started off from Frankfurt, Germany, and finished just beyond the starting point in Berlin. If you want to set a new record in this field, you can try a boat, plane, helicopter, or maybe an autogyro. Dance marathons started in the US in the 1920s when a woman named Alma Cummings danced for 27 hours with 6 different partners. Everyone wanted to break her record, and soon, people all over the country were joining in. In the 30s, they became even more popular because they offered free food, a place to stay, and the chance to win huge cash prizes. The rules were tough. Dancers had to stay standing and keep moving their feet, even while eating, shaving, or reading. If a dancer was too slow, judges would tap their leg with a ruler to keep them moving. Sadly, in 1923, a man named Homer Morehouse danced for 87 hours, collapsed, and passed away. They immediately banned such marathons in Boston and LA, and New York followed.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.